All is quiet right now at the Duval County Courthouse, much different than it was a few hours ago when 34-year-old Marissa Alexander walked out to a crowd of supporters.
She's out of jail as part of a plea deal. She maintains her estranged husband was abusive and says she fired the gunshot as a warning. We're covering this story from several angles. We begin with Channel 4's Francesca Amaker. She's at the courthouse with what Alexander said when she was released. Francesca.
Well, Joy, when she was released, I mean, you could see the tears in her eyes. She was so joyful and expressed so much gratitude on these Duval County Courthouse stairs. Now, I also want to point out that many of the protesters that were here were yelling the word pardon and saying that that justice was not served. In fact, they said much injustice had been served. And as they were yelling pardon, we spoke to a local attorney who says the only person who can grant a pardon in this type of situation is the governor and his clemency board. She also wants to point out to protesters that Marissa Alexander signed a plea agreement that's in the best interest of herself and her children.
I look forward to the full-time challenge of getting my two teenagers through high school and into college, as well as preparing my four-year-old daughter for nursery school. My goal is to continue my education beyond my master's degree and to continue my professional career.
Able to move on with life and set free from jail. After 4.5 years of an ongoing legal battle between the state and her defense team, Tuesday evening a judge decided to let Marissa Alexander walk free and spend the next 2 years on house arrest.
The defense has been able to convey to Judge Daniels that maybe the 20-year sentence that was initially imposed was not appropriate, and certainly that the 3 years that she's already served in prison, along with the 2 years community control, was satisfactory enough to satisfy her punishment for her involvement in this case.
Rhonda Peoples Waters has also been following this case and says even though it may appear the decision favored the defense, the state also got what they wanted.
The state certainly did in some way, because first of all, remember, Marissa Alexander has now been convicted of 3 felony convictions, which she has to deal with for the rest of her life. She's also served that additional prison or jail time, and she will be on ankle monitoring.
Peoples Waters says the state wanted additional probation, but the judge said it was not appropriate.
The state again gets to resolve this matter in a way that it shows that their victims in this case were certainly affected by her actions.
According to Alexander's defense team and her signed plea deal, Alexander does understand those actions and says now she just wants to move forward with her life.
And moving forward, I will continue to learn lessons from this event of the past, but I will not live in the past. At the age of 34, life is too short and there's too much that I have to accomplish in the years ahead.
And more than 50 supporters again surrounded her with a circle, showing their support as she was released from this Duval County Courthouse earlier today. And as I mentioned, a lot of supporters feel like injustice was served, and we'll hear from them coming up at 11 p.m. We're now reporting live at the Duval County Courthouse. Francesca Amaker, Channel 4, the local station.
Now for a closer look at what Marissa Alexander's house arrest will cost and how supporters are stepping in to help. Here's Channel 4's Vic Michelucci.
The judge did allow Marissa Alexander to go home tonight, but she'll have some very strict rules that she'll have to abide by. The decision is getting mixed reviews from her supporters. Dozens of people showed their support for Marissa Alexander outside the courthouse today, telling me they're thrilled she's finally out of jail. They traveled from all over just to see her get out, laying quilts on the front lawn to show solidarity. You came all the way from California?
I came from California. I got on a plane last night at 8:30.
Why?
To be with these women, for one thing, who care so much about Marissa Alexander and the injustice that's happening in our country.
Since her arrest in 2010, Marissa Alexander's been in jail for 1,095 days, serving the last 65 as part of her plea agreement. The deal means she'll have to spend the next 2 years in community control. It's essentially house arrest. She's required to wear a GPS ankle monitor. She can leave her home to go to work, job interviews, church, family medical and dental appointments, and to visit her children's schools. She'll have to get a judge's permission to do anything else.
It's really hard. It's a lot of pressure, but
been working a lot for this, and finally she's free.
It doesn't come cheap. GPS monitoring costs $105 a week. That adds up to about $5,500 a year. That's nearly 11 grand for Alexander's 2 years of community control. Supporters have raised money to pay for those fees, and a group of pastors has offered Alexander a job at one of their ministries if she wants it. Why do you think it is so important that she's able to get out of jail and be at home?
Well, I think it's important, number one. It gives her an opportunity to bring some closure to her situation, number one. And I think, secondly, the most important part about this whole thing, it kind of gives Jacksonville this opportunity to kind of put this behind us. This is one of those another national spotlight stories that kind of cast a negative view on our community and the leaders.